Evening and welcome. I'd like to call the regular Village Board meeting for April 20th, 2026 to order. Clerk Benton, please call the roll.
Mayor Mullen?
Here.
Trustee Duffy?
Here.
Trustee Grau? Here. Trustee McGovern? Here. Trustee McQuillan?
Here.
Trustee Olson?
Here.
And Trustee Sima is absent.
Thank you very much. And at this time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up tonight, we have a couple of proclamations. The first is a proclamation establishing April 24th as Arbor Day. The proclamation reads, whereas Arbor Day is a celebration rooted in a deep appreciation for trees and their essential role in sustaining life, as well as encourage individuals, communities, and organizations to plant trees and promote environmental stewardship. And whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton, the father of Joyce Sterling Morton, who established the Morton Arboretum in Lisle, Illinois, first proposed a tree planting holiday to be called Arbor Day at a meeting of the Nebraska State Board of Agriculture. And whereas Arbor Day is now celebrated in all 50 states, the most common date for the state observance is the last Friday in April, National Arbor Day. And whereas the celebration of Arbor Day 2026 in the village of Lisle, the Arboretum Village, will include the distribution of a limited number of tree saplings to the public at Prairie Walk Pond on Friday, April 24th, beginning at 10 a.m., as well as the planting of the village's official Arbor Day tree this year, a ginkgo biloba autumn gold. And whereas the village of Lisle has been recognized as a Tree City USA for 34 consecutive years by the Arbor Day Foundation, and now therefore be it proclaimed, I, Mayor Mary Jo Mullen, on behalf of the Village of Lisle Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 24th, 2026 as Arbor Day in the Village of Lisle, and urge all community members to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, to support our village's forestry program, and to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Director Elias, would you please accept this proclamation on behalf of the public works staff that cares for the village's urban forest?
Just a quick picture. 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, and 3.
Excuse me. And next is a proclamation establishing May 2026 as Building Safety Month in the Village of Lisle. This proclamation reads, whereas the safety of building, homes, places of business, recreation, worship, and work is a fundamental interest of all persons. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown protectors of public safety, our code officials who assure us of safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas our reputation as a community of choice depends on the continued confidence of our residents, workers, and visitors in the safety of all buildings in our village, and whereas states, counties, cities, towns, and villages throughout the U.S. share the interest of our community in a safe building environment. Whereas building and construction codes have been in effect since Babylonian times, and whereas these codes are intended to protect building occupants from injury, death, or property loss from fire, collapse, electrical, plumbing, or other structure-related crises. And whereas building and construction codes also establish for builders and developers minimum standards for construction, thus providing the foundation for an efficient and affordable construction. And now therefore be it proclaimed, I, Mayor Mary Jo Mullen, on behalf of the Village of Lisle Board of Trustees, do hereby express admiration and appreciation for our Development Services Department and the Lisle Woodridge Fire Protection District for their tireless efforts in assuring the safety of all people in our village through fair and effective enforcement of safety and building code, and do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as Building Safety Month. Development Services Director Smetana, would you please accept this proclamation on behalf of all village staff, especially Derek Zemeka and Zach Payer and Dean Lorenz?
1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Great.
All right, moving forward, this brings us to public comment. Is there anyone present who wishes to provide public comment? As a reminder, Village Code provides individuals up to 5 minutes per person. I just ask that you please identify yourself for the record also.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Village Board. I'm Chris Pisak. I'm here tonight as both a private citizen and a former mayor of this great town. I'm urging you to take no final action on raising water and sewer rates tonight. As you're most likely aware, 19 years ago, back in 2007, the Village Board at that time approved a loan from the Village Water Enterprise Fund to the Village Corporate Fund for capital projects. The $7.1 million borrowed from the Water Enterprise Fund was to be repaid annually at 1% interest. Keep in mind, not all Village residents are water customers. Likewise, not all Village of Lisle water customers reside within the Village borders. The Village borrowed the $7.1 million from the water customers, different than the sewer customers. The $7.1 million was intended for water system maintenance and improvement. Had the borrowed funds stayed in the Water Enterprise Fund, the earnings for the water customers would have been far greater than the 1% annually. The Village chose not to make the annual payments for years and kept kicking the can. Finally, 13 years later, in April of 2020, at the height of the COVID shutdowns during my first term as mayor, the Village Board unanimously authorized the full repayment of the Water Enterprise Fund with interest. The full transfer was authorized to occur on the last day of the fiscal year of 19 and 20, on April 30th, 2020. Did the transfer occur? The fiscal year 1920, Village maintained, through fiscal year 19 and 20, the Village maintained fully separate accounting for the Water Enterprise Fund and separate accounting for the Sewer Enterprise Fund. Two different sets of customers, two different functions and purposes, two separate funds. As required by state statute and by Village Code, there was separate accounting and financial reporting for the Water Fund. Looking back at the fiscal year 19/20 Water Enterprise Fund balance financial reporting, one does not see a $7 million bump in the fund balance at the end of the fiscal year. Were the funds transferred? If so, when? Where was it reported? What is the historical water fund balance at the end of each fiscal year for the past 7 years? What is the Water Enterprise Fund balance today? Is it reported in your monthly report in today's board packet? No, it is not. A full accounting of the repayment of the $7.1 million borrowed from the Water Enterprise Fund must be reported. Water Enterprise Fund monthly reports of the fund balance, the revenues, and the expenditures dating back to April 2020 must be prepared and made available to the public. These records do not exist according to a FOIA response 3 months ago. Water rates cannot be accurately analyzed without a full accounting of the Water Enterprise Fund balance history. Is there really a need to raise water rates if there is actually $7 million more owed to the Water Fund? The Water Rate Study Report, dated March 24th, a Tuesday, was not made available to the public until it appeared late last week embedded in the board meeting packet. It's important for me to point out that I submitted a FOIA for this Water Rate Study Report, and on Friday, March 27th, was told by staff that the village did not have the report, a report that was dated 3 days prior. Transparency is important. It builds public trust. The lack of transparency erodes public trust. Historical Water Enterprise Fund balances were FOIA'd in January. Staff response indicated there were no records of just the Water Fund. All records were for combined water and sewer. No separate accounting. How does one do a water rate study without knowing the historical Water Fund balances? Take a look at your board packet for tonight's meeting. You'll find a monthly treasurer's report on page 23. Here you will see the reported combined water and sewer fund balance of $8.87 million as of March 31st, 2026. Combined. How much is just the water fund? It's not reported, not tracked, not available to the public, even through FOIA. Now, if we look at the Water Rate Study Report, also in your packet, Table 2-11, page 140, line 15, reports a water fund balance of $9.2 million. How can the water fund have a cash balance that exceeds the reported combined fund balance? There's no transparency in the water fund financial reporting, which is the starting point for a water rate study. Lastly, I'm urging not to approve water rate increases tonight because the regular agenda item 6A was revised and posted less than 48 hours before this meeting. Any ordinance to approve water rate increases tonight with an attempt to go into effect on May 1st will be challenged and found illegal. You'll be refunding water rate increases. Why risk adding more legal costs for taxpayers to bear when you're elected to be stewards of public funds? My ask is do not approve water rate increases. Can I have a 10-second extension?
10 seconds, go for it.
My
Grace.
ask is do not approve water rate increases until you have, 1, a historical fund balance reporting separate from the sewer fund, 2, accounting for the $7.1 million that was borrowed from the water fund in 2007, 3, a revised accurate water study report based on audited fund balance numbers and the $7.1 million transfer, and 4, a properly noticed and posted public agenda. Any ordinance with an increase in water rates goes into effect 30 days after approval and publication of the rates. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Anyone else for public comment?
Susan Sorrell. Interesting, because I have a bunch of comments later about that $7.1 million and how much is taken from Oakview and the people that pay into the Wheeling Fund. I'm here tonight because most of you have been here for 15 months. Some of you have only been here for almost a year. And another month goes by and another $200 water bill with no solution for Oakview. Again, over $3,000 average per household has paid that in 15 months. Well, a village resident would have paid approximately $600 for that amount of time. Sorry. Illinois Americans trying to call me interesting. Yeah. Anyways, my timeline that has taken place, I want everybody to understand what's been going on since May here. I first came back in February of 2025 about this issue. Starting in May of 2026, or 2025, I'm sorry, this board took office, and I've been attending every meeting since. I've requested FOIAs, which has led me to today. In the last few months, there have been a lot of situations taking place that have raised several questions, not just by me, but by Oakview residents and the rest of the village residents, too. On March 2nd, I filed a complaint with the ICC. It wasn't posted till March 10th. They held it for 8 days. On March 10th, IEW filed with the judge and asking for a protective order so that they do not have to reveal what they own. On March 11th, I had a meeting with the mayor, and we discussed the legislation taking place. On March 16th, the village filed an appearance with the ICC. On March 17th, I submitted a letter via email to the judge at the ICC about the rate case. On April 3rd, I received a phone call from Illinois American about my complaint. I have tried to return their call several times, at least 3 times in the last week, and they have yet to call me back. Reason being, I believe, is because also on April 3rd, the judge approved a protection order for Illinois American. On April 6th, at the last meeting, I informed you of all the above that has taken place. And on April 10th, to my understanding, your finance director has resigned. I'm still going through 35,000 documents of emails since 2019 with Mayor Broda because the previous emails prior to 2019 do not exist. They've been destroyed. The following situations have led me to FOIA, the ICC, the Illinois EPA, the village again. I sent 3 emails in, or 2 today. Sorry, I have another one coming in. The Illinois Secretary of State and the DuPage Water Commission. This is no longer about water rates. This is about legality, safety, and accountability. Since March, I have filed with the Illinois Commerce Commission, met with the mayor, submitted evidence, and reviewed thousands of pages of records. And here's what I've uncovered. There's no records, no deeds, no easements, no proof of ownership of pipes residents are being charged for. At this time, the new mains that are being installed raise serious questions about improper pipe sizing, unknown underground connections, and no variable records of pressure testing, chlorination, or bacterial clearance. Let me be clear. If it wasn't inspected, it should not be in service. Yet residents are expected to trust the system and pay more for it. And while this is happening, the village is collecting over $300,000 a year through a wheeling agreement tied to these same residents. Money that is not clearly benefiting the very people that are generating it. So I'll ask these simple questions. How can you charge residents for infrastructure you cannot prove you own? How can you approve installations that may not meet code? And how can you justify unequal treatment of tax-paying residents? This is not complicated. No ownership, no rate base. No inspection, no acceptance. No equity, no trust. And are you in talks with Illinois American right now to take over the Village of Water system? That's a good question. People in Lisle should be asking that question. And until these things are resolved, this issue is not going away, and neither am I. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Items listed as part of the consent agenda are considered routine in nature and will be voted on together as a group unless a member of the village board requests to be considered separately. Tonight's consent agenda also includes the April 6th regular village board and March 2nd closed session meeting minutes and the April 20th invoice list. Does anyone on the board wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'm going to ask Village Manager Cook to provide an overview of each item on the consent agenda.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and members of the Village Board. Tonight's consent agenda includes items A, which approves the regular Village Board meeting minutes for April 6th, 2026. Item B approves the closed session meeting minutes for March 2nd, 2026. Item C approves the invoice list for April 20th, 2026 in the amount of $854,139.53. Item D acknowledges the monthly treasurer's report for March 2026. Item E approves the resolution authorizing signatories for the Village of Lisle banking accounts. This item updates the authorized signatures for the village financial accounts in light of pending staff changes, continuing to require multiple signatures. Item F approves an ordinance adopting the annual budget for fiscal year 26-27, which begins May 1st, 26 and ending April 30th, 2027. Item G approves a special event permit for the 2026 St. Joan of Arc School Color Walk to be held on Friday, May 15th from 11:45 a.m. to 12:45 p.m. Item H approves a special event permit for the 2026 Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony, which will occur on Monday, May 25th. This year's parade is planned to begin at 10:30 a.m. at the Lisle Junior High, with the remembrance ceremony planned for 11 a.m. at the Lisle Veterans Memorial. Item I approves a special event permit for the 2026 Barkapalooza 5K Run, 1 Mile Walk, and Rescue Fest, which is scheduled for Sunday, September 27th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Lisle Community Park. Item J approves a resolution accepting the water and sewer rate study report that was prepared by 1898 and Company. Item K approves a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute an agreement with Civil Tech Engineering for construction engineering services for the Main Street Streetscape project in the amount not to exceed $442,935. Item L approves a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a 1-year contract extension with Go Painters, Inc., Incorporated, for hydrant sandblasting and painting in the amount not to exceed $29,850. This contract was jointly bid in 2025 through the DuPage Municipal Partnering Initiative, which leverages economies of scale in bidding various contractual services. Go Painters was the low bidder, and it included 2 option years in the bid, which the company has previously provided painting services to the village's satisfaction in 2025. Item M approves the resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a 1-year contract extension with Mark I Landscape for grass mowing services in the amount not to exceed $71,883. The village contracts for its seasonal mowing of about 43 sites, which includes buildings, facilities, rights-of-way, and other property. Bids were received in 2024, with Mark I Landscape of Bartlett being the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, having previously performed to the village's satisfaction. The bid includes 3 option years, and this contract would be for option year 2, which includes a 5% increase per the original bid. Lastly, item N approves a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a 1-year contract extension with Atrium Landscape Management for landscape and plant bed maintenance in an amount not to exceed $75,400. This item is the village's contract for cleanups, spring and fall plantings, mulching, plant care, and weeding services in various locations. These services were bid in 2023, and Atrium Landscape Management of Lamont was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. They've performed these services to the village's satisfaction, and this bid also had included 3 option years. This contract would be for option year 3, and it does not include an increase to unit pricing. With that concludes the consent agenda tonight, and staff is recommending village board approval of items A through N as presented.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve items A through N?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Any public comment about consent agenda?
Like I said, I'll be up here several times tonight. J, I'm sorry, resolution for the water fund. Can the village please explain to me how $1.7 million from the Water Fund and Sewer Enterprise Fund was used for downtown beautification in 2007? Under Illinois law, enterprise funds are intended to be used solely for the operation, maintenance, and capital improvements of the utility system. So my question is simple. Was this use legally compliant at the time, and where specifically is the documented repayment of that $7.1 million back to the water sewer fund? I have the paperwork, can't find it. I'd like somebody to figure that one out. What fund repaid the $1.7 million? What year was it repaid? What interest did it include? Was it compounded interest like it should be? And where is that reflected in the village budget and or audited financial statements? Because if it hasn't been repaid properly, then this is just a policy issue. It's a misuse of restricted utility funds paid by ratepayers. In 2007, the village reportedly took $7.1 from the Water Fund and Sewer Enterprise Fund. Remember, it's an enterprise fund. Money paid by residents for water infrastructure, and used it for downtown beautification. That raises serious legal and ethical concerns. Enterprise funds are not general slush funds. They are restricted funds meant strictly for utility-related purposes, pipes, treatment, storage, and maintenance. So I want clear answers. Who authorized this transfer? Under what legal authority was it justified? And most importantly, where is the repayment? Because if Oakview residents and others have been paying into the system for decades and that money was diverted without proper reimbursement, then you are asking residents today to pay higher water rates while sitting on a history of misused funds. This is not equitable, this is not transparent, and it needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any board discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Clerk Benton, please call roll.
Trustee Duffy.
Aye.
Trustee McGovern.
Aye.
Trustee Grau.
Aye.
Trustee McQuillan.
Aye.
Trustee Olson.
Aye.
And consent agenda is approved. That brings us to our regular agenda for the evening. We are going to skip and pull item A this evening. As referenced earlier, during publication of tonight's agenda, the village's agenda management software generated duplicate titles for items A and B. Even though the remainder of the content, its description, and all the materials that were attached were accurate. The well-meaning administrative staff of the village corrected the error earlier today without recognizing implications related to the Open Meetings Act. Therefore, we're not going to review or take action on this item, so it can be properly identified in the next agenda. So we're going to move forward into item B. Item B is an ordinance repealing Title III, Chapter 20, Annual Business Registration of the Lisle Village Code. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Would Development Services Director Smetana please provide an overview of this item?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor. The Village's business registration program was enacted in 2010 with the stated intent to foster increased communication between village officials and business owners, thereby aiding in the prevention of and response to crime and other emergencies, planning safety inspections, and compliance with building, zoning, and licensing requirements. In an effort to further enhance the village's business-friendly environment, staff is recommending repeal of the business registration program. Repeal of the business registration program eliminates redundant regulatory efforts, simplifies the process of opening a new business, and reduces business costs incurred through registration and annual renewal of that registration. The village's certificate of occupancy process, which is required for any change of tenant, aids in the response to emergencies, results in safety inspections, and ensures compliance with building, zoning, and licensing requirements. In preparation for this repeal, the 2026-2027 fiscal year budget did not include the approximately $12,000 to $15,000 of revenue that the village receives from the business registration program. The Economic Development Commission reviewed this on March 25th and recommended approval of the proposed repeal of the registration program. With that, this evening, Mayor, staff recommends approval of the proposed ordinance repealing Title III, Chapter 20, Annual Business Registration of the Lisle Village Code.
Thank you very much. Any public comment on this item? Any board discussion? Seeing none, Clerk Benton, please call roll.
Trustee Duffy.
Aye.
Trustee McGovern.
Aye.
Trustee Grau.
Aye.
Trustee McQuillan.
Aye.
Trustee Olson.
Aye.
And motion passes. Item C tonight is a resolution authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with MGT Impact Solutions, LLC, for executive recruitment and selection services. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
There's motion and second. Would Village Manager Cook please provide an overview of this item?
Yes, thank you. And as discussed in the agenda report, Deputy Village Manager and CFO Mitchell had resigned her position effective April 24th, 2026, having served the village since 2019. Additionally, we anticipate a future retirement that will also affect the Finance Department early in the new fiscal year. In light of the timing, we do anticipate utilizing an interim staffing firm to fulfill the near-term needs of the Finance Department. The fiscal year 26-27 budget process already had contemplated various staff updates, so these departures will further modify the approach going forward. What is before the board this evening is a professional services agreement that would engage MGT Impact Solutions to assist in the recruitment and selection of an assistant village manager, who would then participate in the selection of a future finance director. The local predecessor to MGT was GovHR, which is a firm that the village has used successfully in the past. The proposed resolution approves an agreement for full-service recruitment in the amount of $26,900, with additional expenses for travel or consultant visits, if necessary, approved under the village manager's authority. While this expense was not planned or budgeted, funds are available within the general fund to meet this need. And that concludes my report this evening, and staff is recommending approval.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment on this item? Any board discussion? Okay. Seeing none, Clerk Benton, please call the roll.
Trustee Duffy.
Aye.
Trustee McGovern.
Aye.
Trustee Grau.
Aye.
Trustee McQuillan.
Aye.
Trustee Olson.
Aye.
And motion passes. Item D is a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a contract for the purchase of electricity for street lighting through the Northern Illinois Municipal Electric Collaborative. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Would Assistant to the Village Manager Havlick please provide an overview of this item?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and members of the Village Board. Since 2010, the village has partnered with the Northern Illinois Municipal Electric Collaborative, or also called NIMEC, to bid and purchase the electric supply for village streetlights. Purchasing electric supply in this manner serves as an alternative to purchasing electric through ComEd. NIMEC has served as the village's electric aggregation program broker and consultant, providing competitive bidding and consultation at no charge to the village. The village's current 2-year streetlight electric supply agreement with Constellations expires this July. The village has 3 streetlight accounts, 2 of which are considered medium or large commercial accounts. ComEd only provides competitive fixed pricing for small capacity commercial accounts. For these medium and large commercial accounts, the only pricing options through ComEd is a floating market rate that fluctuates hourly. A fixed rate is desirable as it protects against rate fluctuations and spikes during peak demands and is also helpful for budgeting purposes. Small ComEd accounts that operate on a fixed rate over the last year had a rate of 6.1 cents. Lisle's medium and large accounts benefit from the scale with last year's rate being around 4.3 cents through the program. The benefit of a fixed rate is that the accounts are not subject to fluctuations in the energy market. In order to take advantage of favorable market conditions, NIMEC anticipates conducting a bid for fixed-rate streetlight electric supply on May 13th this year. Should rates be received as unfavorable, the village is under no obligation to participate in the program. Energy market pricing must be accepted on the day of the bid. Tonight, staff recommends approval of the proposed resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a contract for the purchase of electricity for street lighting through NIMEC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, any board discussion? Also seeing none, Clerk Benton, please call the roll.
Trustee Duffy?
Aye.
Trustee McGovern?
Aye.
Trustee Grau?
Aye.
Trustee McQuillan?
Aye.
Trustee Olson?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item E is a resolution authorizing the execution of a letter of intent for continued participation in the DuPage Police Records Management System. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Would Chief Rodriguez please provide an overview of this item?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Village Board. We switched. The Village of Lisle has participated in DuPage County's shared computer-aided dispatch and records management system for many years. Our current platform is now over 8 years old and is no longer meeting the technological demands of modern policing, and positioning us well in the future would be well advised. In collaboration with approximately 30 other agencies, we are part of the Police Records Management System, PRMS, consortium. Under the leadership of the PRMS Oversight Committee, a comprehensive, multi-phase RFP process was recently completed to identify a next-generation system to replace our current platform. Following a thorough evaluation of functionality, usability, and cost, a top-ranked vendor has been identified. The Oversight Committee has authorized a negotiating team to begin contract discussions and has asked participating agencies to provide a letter of intent to remain a participant in that process. Now, this non-binding letter of intent, it's an important step to ensure accurate contract pricing and planning. Safeguards are in place, specifically if projected costs increase by more than 10%. All participating agencies will be notified and given the opportunity to reassess their participation. It's a responsible step forward that balances regional collaboration, financial oversight, and the need to equip our department with modern, reliable technology. Now, a modern records management system is a mission-critical tool, and it serves as the official record for all law enforcement activity for investigations, arrests, evidence management, compliance requirements, and it integrates with our dispatch, mobile systems, state and federal databases, et cetera. Staff requests that the Village Board approve the resolution authorizing the execution of the letter of intent.
Thank you very much. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, any board discussion? Also seeing none, Clerk Benton, please call the roll.
Trustee Duffy?
Aye.
Trustee McGovern?
Aye.
Trustee Grau?
Aye.
Trustee McQuillan?
Aye.
Trustee Olson?
Aye.
And motion passes. That'll bring us to officials and staff reports. We'll start off with a little fun about Lisle Restaurant Week 2026.
Excellent. Good evening, Mayor, members of the Village Board. Just have one slide to pull up here. All right. The third annual Lisle Restaurant Week is this week, starting today through Sunday, April 26th. There are 26 restaurants and businesses this year that are part of the event, and I'll read them off. It's going to be a long one. Next Whiskey Bar, Cara Cafe, Meal Village, Brazzi's Pizza, Lola's Churros, Yukama Ramen, Schmaltz Deli, Manna Kitchen, La Bon Bon Grill, Crumb & Co., The Beer Now, Al Grady's Bakery, Ramey's Steak and Fish House, Kindred Gastropub, Luigi's Pasta and Pizza, Aviva Bar and Eatery, Burger City, Sammy's Pub and Grill, The Fat Guy Sandwich Shop, El Gran Agave, Bubble House Brewing, Little Pops New York Pizzeria, Yerba Buena Mexican Cuisine, Taco Dali, Paisan's Pizzeria and Bar, and Crooked Arm Vinyl and Tap. Each business is offering a promotion throughout the week. A full list of promotions can be viewed on the Village's website. Diners are invited to take advantage of these specials throughout the week of special offers and prefix menus. And it also provides an opportunity for businesses to showcase menu options and attract new customers. Lisle Restaurant Week promotion has been provided through multiple marketing channels such as the Village website, social media, printed flyers, and more. And lastly, everyone is encouraged to take advantage of these limited time specials all along this week. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll start off with the reports from up here on the dais. I know she's not here tonight, but I do want to take a minute to thank Sarah for all of her hard work with the Village over the years. She's really been responsible for implementing a lot of great improvements to our accounting systems and instrumental in getting some of our other systems up and running. My first experience with Sarah was when I was a trustee early when we first started, and I was partnered with her for our strategic planning effort that year. In the meeting we did, and I was really impressed by how she had such, exciting ideas. Really could look forward into how she thought things could be better. So I really want to wish Sarah all the best in her new endeavors, and thank her for her service here. That's all I have. Do any trustees have reports for the evening? Trustee McGovern?
Last meeting, in reference to the Bennett Stadium questions and comments, I said that Lisle High School hardly has a football team, and I want to redact that statement. They have been challenged in the past from the lack of stadium, I think over a decade ago, but their football team is very much existent and rebuilding, and I want to give them kudos and an apology for referencing them as small, because it takes a lot of great kids and coaches to build that team. And my apologies. Go Lions.
Thank you so much. Anyone else for Trustee Olson?
Just happy birthday to Trustee Duffy.
This is exactly how I wanted to spend my birthday. I do have 2 comments since I'm talking. I know we didn't talk about it tonight, Village Manager Cook, but when we do get to the water topic next meeting, I want to make sure that the Oakview component was carved out. Remember how I didn't want to make sure we were charging them for anything in this? Do you remember that conversation? I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but I think we had that conversation when we talked about it during the committee of the whole.
My recollection was that the study completely excluded anyone who's on Illinois American Water in that process. I remember you asking about it, and I think that was the answer from the firm that did the report.
Perfect. Yeah, that happy. That's all I wanted to make sure of. And I want to say thank you to Sarah too. I think. Listen, I'm excited for her. And I think it's a great opportunity, and that's a sign of when you have great staff that when they also go to bigger and better things, that's a good example of the kind of people we're hiring here. And, yes, change can be hard, and, when you have staff turnover and you have new positions being popped open, but she was a wonderful asset to this village and did a great job, and she sat through a lot of long meetings with all of us, so I think I want to just say kudos to her, so thank you.
Anything? Go ahead.
Yeah, hearing that list of restaurants that was just read off have made me very hungry, by the way. But The list is, I think it must be double the number of restaurants from last year. I'm not exactly sure what the count was last year, but it's really expanded quite a bit. And so congratulations to the team that has worked with the restaurants in Lisle here to develop that. And I think it's a great week. I wish I could get out more this week, but I'll do what I can. Secondly, because I do so much yard work in my yard, I do know that branch pickup starts next Monday, the 27th. It'll be for the south side of the village, south of Maple Avenue, and then for the 2 weeks after that. So just to remind everyone that the trucks will be coming by to get the branches. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Trustee
Thanks for that reminder, Ed. That's all I have. Nothing else. Thanks.
Clerk Benton, do you have anything for the? Okay. Staff reports.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to kind of piggyback a little bit on what's being said and thank Deputy Manager CFO Mitchell for her service to the village. As you pointed out, she wasn't able to attend this evening, but her efforts for the village certainly modernized our financial operation, principally through the implementation of our OpenGov system, and all the other things that you've pointed out. She's certainly been an asset for the village, and we're going to miss her and certainly wish her well in her future endeavors. So I wanted to recognize that. I should also say happy birthday, Trustee Duffy. And then on the Illinois American Water rate case, just for information for anybody who might not have followed as closely, the Illinois Commerce Commission, or the ICC, has published notice of a public forum that will be held at the Bolingbrook Community Center at 201 Canterbury Lane in Bolingbrook on Tuesday, July 14th, 2026, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. This forum is called for the ICC to receive public comment on the property rate, proposed rate increase for water and sewer service that was requested by the Illinois American Water Company. According to the notice, the comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The village is going to be posting information about this notice of public forum on our village website later in the week. And that's all I have tonight, Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll circle back to one other thing. And Chief Rodriguez, if you want to talk about the swearing in this morning, you may. Otherwise, I can cover it. Are you sure? Okay. So this morning, it was wonderful that we got to swear in 2 new officers in the police department. They will start academy training on April 27th, and we're really excited to welcome them into our police force. Did you want to add anything else, or? Sorry, I just want to make sure that.
No, I'm very glad, and thank you very much for showing up for the swearing in. I think it meant a lot to the department and to the officers who were getting sworn in this morning. I did, if I could just take a minute to address something. So Friday night, perhaps a couple of people were contacted regarding the storms through a system called Code Red. And I just felt it necessary to just kind of address it, and I, too, received, I think, 9 calls in an hour. So we immediately started looking into it, me and my team. And I just wanted to kind of clarify, or maybe just enlighten people as to kind of what happened. Our weather alerts, so Code Red experienced some type of a data breach. They took down the entire system back in November. They switched platforms from OnSolve to something called Crisis 24. When that platform switched, part of the switch, some of the notification settings were inadvertently changed during the switchover, and specifically regarding our weather notifications were shut off, unbeknownst to us. And it took a couple of months. Obviously, it was the winter, so there weren't any storms. But we last week received some notifications from some residents saying, "Hey, we did not receive any alerts at all whatsoever for the storms. What's going on?" I know Village Hall received some, and so then we began, my team began looking into it and reached out to Crisis 24, to Code Red, and in fact, the weather settings were shut off, so they turned them on. Well, luckily it works. However, part of it needed some more sensitivity adjustments, specifically the location and the updates for ignore updates, or a checkbox that basically says, anytime you update it, you don't need to alert everybody. So the National Weather Service typically will update everything every 15 minutes. So the storm was projected to be 75 minutes, and so every 15 minutes we were going to get updates, but then once it left our geographic location, it stopped updating our residents and bothering them all of Friday night. So we've made some changes already to the system. We've placed several phone calls into our reps, and we are working with them to ensure that it won't happen again, and we're going to continue to work through this issue, but I do apologize that those settings were not correct with the changeover. It should be good to go now, and we'll see during the next storm how it works out for us. But I wanted to at least take full accountability for that, and we're working through it.
Thank you so much, and I'm sure everyone was curious, but thank you so much for being on top of it, like in the moment. Really appreciate it. With that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Village Clerk Benton, please call the roll.
Trustee Olson.
Aye.
Trustee Grau.
Aye.
Trustee Duffy.
Aye.
Trustee McGovern. Aye. Trustee
Aye.
McMillan.
Aye.
We are adjourned. We'll be back for Committee of the Whole in a couple minutes.